Good evening, people. I wanted to discuss a different angle of the story of you've been seeing the videos about, and I want to talk about specifically the Force. And I'll tell you all what I know and what I saw as a kid was an angel who was using the Force, and it was other angels who told me what it was. And that angel's name I know, of course, and that this video is not about his name. It's more about the Force itself. Now, when you start to look at Star Wars, you see that he took the Force, and in the first three movies, which of course you know were Episode 4, 5, and 6, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and The Return of the Jedi, and he never mentions the word midi-chlorians in any of them. Instead, you have the description that Yoda gave, that the Force flows you through you and we are luminous beings. And then by the first movie, which was Phantom Menace, he starts attributing it to little creatures, little microbes called midi-chlorians, basically like little bugs that were at the center of the universe from the very beginning. So which sort of, in a way, kind of pushes an evolutionary type theory rather than the Force being the will of God, as I told him it was in 1974 when he got it from me. Now, you can sit and mock that all you want. You don't know the truth, and I'm going to be honest with you. You have no idea, okay? You all talk about the Force. You call yourself Jedis. You're not a Jedi. You're not the Jedi, and you're not Jedi Knight, because that was his name. Again, this video is not about that. You talk about destroying angels, and then I want to get into the religious side of this too, because this is a debate I've had with so many preachers, that when you look at God's will and the wrath of God, you see things like you hear them talk about Sodom and Gomorrah and the raining fire and brimstone, and then you can look at things like the Passover, and that's another reason why I wanted to do this today, was because tomorrow is Easter and today was the Passover. Today is the Passover, excuse me. Now, the angel of death that was brought down when the Pharaoh mocked God and decided he was going to put the firstborn of Israel to death, but instead God sent the destroying angel down to destroy the firstborn. And here's where I differ from many preachers who make this sort of claim that God uses natural phenomena like volcanoes or meteors or whatever to exact his wrath, and that's not really the case, and I don't believe it's the case, and I think there's other people who think the way I do on that. And you look at what Thomas Jefferson said about God's wrath, and he fears for his country when he knows that God's wrath, when God is just. So I will post that up here too, and then let you read it yourself. The thing is, he took the Force from me when I was a kid. Then he perverted it. He never mentions God in the books. He never mentions Jedi Knight in the real Jedi Knight in the movies. He talks about he makes it into something that it's not. Again, that's why so many of you call yourself Jedi, this and that, and he switched course. Again, I'll tell you like this, okay? When I saw the angel I saw using the will of God, using the Force, he was faster than any. I've seen, fight scenes in movies and things like that. And I'll put it to you this way. They want to mock God and they want to talk about 1,000 points of light. Well, this being that I saw and the other angels called him Jedi Knight, whether that was a nickname or what but that was what they called him, okay? When I saw him, and then I asked them how he did that, and they said he used God's will, and they called it the Force. And that is what George Lucas took from me in 1974 when I was 7 years old. So you can live in doubt all you want, because here's where you're going to fail. And I'll tell you this: the will of God, the Force, is real. George Lucas not only takes it and fantasizes it, he mocks God, he mocks the Force, he mocks Jedi Knight, and then he calls religion propaganda. I can post those up, but you can go back to some of my other videos, and I posted that up in I believe it was 3 videos ago, the end of your sci-fi God. And I want you to pay attention to what he says. He mocks God, he calls him propaganda, okay? But then he turns around and says he uses propaganda to build up Star Wars. Again, it's like he's trying to create his own God. Plus he puts Satan in there. His version of the Force is, I don't know, I'll be honest with you, when they're talking about little miniature things that get in your body, I'm not going to get into the whole New World Order book thing and how they would like to control men, you know. But I know you've all heard things about it, and for mentioning that, I got a strike and a video removed, and I had to take it down last time and then redo it and remove that little short section of audio. Which the funniest thing is, because again, with fact checks, what I said, I never mentioned what they attributed it to. So they attributed what I was talking about to the COOF, which I wasn't talking about, and that's why they gave me a strike, showed me their little community guidelines. I didn't violate that community guideline, yet they still gave me a strike and still pulled my video down, which it had nothing to do with what they were talking about, okay? What I was talking about is how they're, you know, altered DNA. You're talking about cloning and stuff like that. You know, it wasn't what they were referring it to, in other words. So they misjudged and they jumped the gun and they did something that had nothing to do with what they attributed it to. This destroying angel I saw, he was so fast. Let's just put it this way: when your Jedi Knight reached for his lightsaber, he had already been dead as soon as he moved. That's how fast the real Jedi Knight is. He's not one of your fake little movie characters. He's not one of your little fantasy bug carrying, you know, Force users. Your version of the Force, and that's why I'm going to refer to it from here on out as the Farce. Okay, your version. Okay, your version of the Farce is created by a bug, and that's the very reason why I call it a farce, because he took it and he used it and he twisted it, and so yeah, it is a farce, regardless of whether you believe this or not. The Force is very real. Anybody who would be able to use it, and I'm not saying that Jedi Knight himself is the only one who can use it. I'm just saying that none of us are close enough to God that he would allow us to use his will to do anything. If we did, what's that old saying? If you had faith the size of a mustard seed, you could move mountains. So if you did, then there's no doubt in my mind that God would allow you to use his will if you had that much faith in God, even the size of a mustard seed. But that just shows you how we lack faith. But you would rather probably believe anything George Lucas says than what I'm telling you in this video. And that he stole it from me when I was 7 years old. He used it. His cousin lived next door to me, like 400 and some feet. I've mapped it out. I've showed you in my other videos. He took God's will and turned it into, he perverted it. He turned it into the farce. He turned the Force into the farce. And that's the title of this video, and that's the reason why I titled it that. And, you know, again, I wanted to push this forward on today, because today is Passover. Tomorrow is Easter Sunday. And, you know, for those who don't really realize, it's not to celebrate the Easter Bunny. It's to celebrate the Passover and the resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And it's not just about the Passover is also, a celebration of when the angel of death passed over the firstborn of Israel in Egypt. I will tell you this, you don't know what the force is, and if you don't believe me, that's going to be between you and God. You're going to find out. You're going to find out the hard way if that needs to be the case. I wouldn't sit here and lie to you about this. I believe in God. If I was going to sit here and tell you this and it wasn't true, I feel like I would probably get struck down or something. I really honestly do. That's how I believe in God. I know I'm telling you the truth. I know what happened in 1974. I know that the piece of paper I wrote it on vanished. I know that George Lucas had sent an FBI agent named Bob Frederick to my house in Bedford, Ohio in 2001. And I believe that after that, someone in the FBI, NSA, CIA, whoever was working with them was listening to me, because the location of this piece of paper that said Jedi Knights and the Force on it and had a little card drawn on the bottom of the page, it was in my document sleeve and stored along with my brother's 2 document sleeves, whose, by the way, were still there when I went to get mine. They were also stored way out in the country in a storage bin that was on private property. Mine was the only one missing. All my documentation from my childhood, missing, gone. Look, I can say it over and over again until I'm blue in the face. I would not say this about that man if it was not true. They got that document sleeve. They got it. I don't know how they got it. The problem is I never even mentioned it in one of my videos, because I did not start making videos on YouTube until 2014. So how they would have known that piece of paper even existed? Because before 2000, the only people that knew that piece of paper existed was me and my mother. In 2000, not before, but in 2000, me and my mother took that piece of paper out of my document sleeve and looked at it, and it didn't even dawn on me. I didn't remember 1974. And I said, what is this doing in my document sleeve? It was a piece of paper. It said Jedi Knights and the Force. It had a card drawn on it. And I said, what is this? And she goes, oh, Davey drew that, which he's my nephew. Well, I'm sorry, but Davey, my nephew, never we didn't keep his documents in my document sleeve. And it wasn't until later in that year that I told you. In 99, she was telling a story of me falling on a Tinker Toy. In 2000, we came across that piece of paper, and this whole thing was like haunting me. I can't explain it on another level. It was haunting me, and it was driving me crazy, and I couldn't remember. And then in 2000, later on, I moved to Ohio later on, and I started remembering all this. When I moved to Ohio, and me and my wife, we got married in April of 2001. I had already remembered and started writing George Lucas by then, and even then, the full memory of everything had not hit me yet in 2001. So by the time I think 2001 was over, I had fully recalled everything that happened, almost everything. I mean, our phone call, I remember 99% of what was said. And I do remember his cousin having a weird name. Again, I've always attributed to Jack Hamburger at 5707 Rivalwood Road. I'm pretty sure I remember thinking, because when he told me his last name, I thought it was weird. Hamburger sounded like a weird name. So at that point, as a kid, I may have thought that was a weird name. But again, if it was the next house over and it was somebody named Freeman, I might have thought Freeman was weird too. But we had friendly friends whose named Friedman with a D, not just Freeman, but Friedman. But, I may have thought that was a weird name too. So I don't know. But I'm pretty sure at this point, I remember us calling him Jack and my brothers saying, Jack is your friend, because they didn't like him. They didn't want anything to do with him. And of course, I didn't either after that point, because first he hit me with a bat, made me think my brother did it. I hit my brother, got into trouble. Second, the day he got me to the house to get on the phone with George Lucas and tell him about Jedi Knights in the Force, he almost killed me in his backyard with a piece of rebar, pointing it at my face while I was running full blast. So I was lucky I wasn't impaled and I wasn't dead after that day. But the next time I saw him, I busted his head with a rock, and he was standing all the way on the corner. And here's a 7-year-old kid. I pick up a rock out of my driveway, and I throw it 200 and some feet to the corner and busted him right in his head with it. I don't know how I would have done that, and I don't know how I did. But his parents threatened to call the police, and my dad took me over there and made me apologize to him. And I'm sitting there trying to think about this rebar in the backyard, because I didn't know the name for rebar back then. I kept saying, no, stick, stick, stick. You know, it's a sham. George Lucas is a sham. And I've shown you in the other videos how he has plagiarized everybody's work, from Star Trek to Lee Brackett, Edmund Hamilton, Gustav Holst. He does not create anything himself. He has stolen everything he put, not just in Star Wars, in other movies he's been involved in. Look what he stole from me and put in Cocoon. Look what he stole from me and put in The Warlock, and then Ghost. He's been stealing and plagiarizing people's work for God knows how long, and who else he's stolen from. I can't imagine how everybody thinks this man's a great person. He is and I'm not going to say it. I'll stop right there. He's a piece of work. I'll put it that way. Just to be nice, he is corrupt. He is as corrupt as the rest of Hollywood. And when you all wake up and realize the Force is real, God's wrath will come down on us in the Force. And it's not going to be meteorites. It's not going to be volcanoes. And I'm not saying that those things won't happen, but for you to sit and try to tell me, and this is where I disagree with preachers, how would a volcano or whatever specifically target like Sodom and Gomorrah? Okay, a volcano could have landed on it, but then when Lot's wife looked back, she was turned into a pillar of salt. Now, then again, tell me in Egypt how some kind of freak accident just happened to target every firstborn of Egypt and killed all the firstborn of Egypt, but didn't kill everybody else. Please, you don't know what you're talking about. The Force is real. That angel I saw, he was more real than your Star Wars, and I'm telling you, he's the one you're going to have to look at eventually and explain to him how he's not real and what I'm telling you is a lie. Go ahead. Good luck to you, because I'm telling you, when I was a kid, I pulled a percolator down me. Whether I was actually dead or just pulled out of my body, I don't know. But I died again when I was 33 and 99. It's a long story. I'm telling you, God is real. The Force is real. The destroying angels are real. And when you realize that and you wake up, this man is mocking God. And you are so you know what I mean? You're just like following him like blind sheep. This man is corrupt. Star Wars is corrupt. They never mention God in 9 movies so far. They've never said a word about God. Instead, they try to go back to this bug idea. They're again trying to create this path to evolution again. And again, George thinks religion is propaganda. Remember that. So his idea of evolution is what they can do to you. So don't forget that. I won't say the words or the letters because I will get a strike again, and I don't want to do that. But I will tell you this: God is real. The Force is real, and so are the destroying angels. And Jedi Knight is one of them. You're going to find out soon enough. A couple more things real quick. Again, as I told you, I put that piece of paper in storage on someone's private property way out in the country. They could not have known where it was unless someone was listening to me. Number two, why is it that George Lucas sold Disney Star Wars and yet he is still trying to control it? I think they got that evidence and they blackmailed him, and then he even called them white slavers. Yet he's still trying to maintain control of it, but he sold it. Okay, you figure that one out. He puts Satan in Star Wars. He mocks God, mocks the Force, mocks Jedi Knight, and then you think he's a great person? Again, keep believing that. Tell me how you think things got so bad so fast. This man has been lying to you for almost 50 years, 48 years now. So again, think about what I'm trying to say to you here. You take care of yourselves, okay? Happy Passover and happy Easter.